everybody. Welcome to the show. Okay. I'm not really going to call this a show. Depending on how you look at what a show ought to be, because this sure isn't it. I'll tell you that. That was me doing a little slide in the opening. That picture of me and my older brother there. Well, he was playing a guitar and a piano. Told you that guy was talented. He's a better looking one in the family too. So, he's always running around telling people that my parents had one of each. And honestly, I think I agree with him. They did have one of each. But no, I love my brother. I look at that photograph sometimes and I think it takes me back, I had some wonderful, wonderful parents who are gone now. I got a picture of them up right over my head here. And they were good parents. Made a lot of mistakes. I'm sure not going to hold them against them. I had 2 children. I made a ton of them. So they did a much better job than I did. And I will say, as far as what a parent should be, my dad was quite a guy and had a great sense of humor. And that and I grew up in a time where dads didn't really have much of a sense of humor, Now, believe me, he could easily not have a sense of humor. And I tested those waters on a couple of occasions. It's exactly right. He didn't have, there were times when he didn't. I need to stop talking. But yeah, like some of you out there, I miss him every day. I'm very thankful, I'll just tell you, I wouldn't normally share something like this, but I'm going to share it with you. When my dad had gotten a rare form of leukemia back in 2003. In his last few moments, I would say, on the planet, just a wonderful guy. The man worked every day up until about 3 or 4 days before he died. And if that tells you anything, he's a hard worker. Not that I could say the same for myself, but he was an interesting guy. And I remember, sometimes people go and you don't have a chance to say some things you really wished you'd have told them long before they left. But I was in his kitchen. I really want to get through this too. And we were standing there looking at each other, and it wasn't but a day later that he couldn't talk, and then he passed away like a day after that. But we were standing there in that kitchen, and I looked at him, and I thought back on just what an ungrateful child I was, and I thought to myself, yeah, this is your opportunity. And so I grabbed him and I hugged him and I said, Dad, if they lined up every dad on God's green earth in front of me and said, you got your choice, I said, I'd pick you. And I'm going to stop right there. You ever have a moment? All right, so what I want to talk to you about tonight is this Resonator. Now, this is a Royall, what's called a Royall, out of Santa Barbara, California. Now, I'm going to tell you what's interesting about this Resonator if you hadn't already noticed it. It's small. It's a Parlor Resonator, and they call it a Parlorator. Now, the gentleman that either owns or runs this place, one of the two, and I think he owns it. His name is Griffin. And off the top of my head, I'm sorry, Griffin, I can't remember your last name, but I'm going to put a link to this guitar company. I'm going to put a link to a video that I ran across on his channel. He's only got a couple up. But I thought the music that he did, another guy and a young lady, 8 or 9 years ago, and I told him, I said, 8 or 9 years ago, really, Griffin? You need to continue your music career. All right. and you know, people are where they're at in their life, and they're doing what they want to do, and or what they need to do, and I understand. But I'll tell you, I was blown away at this tune that they did. There's two songs up on there. One of them is my favorite, and then the other one's right behind it. Of course, there's only two, but they're both great. Okay. But they were fiddling around one day, and they decided over there at this place to come up with a Resonator guitar in a Parlor size. Now, maybe there's somebody else out there on the planet that does this. I don't know. But I've never seen one before. Okay. Now, I've got one over on my wall that's about Parlor size, but it was a homemade job, and it does not sound good at all. It makes great wall art. Every now and again, if you're ordering online, you're going to get took, right? So I got took on that one. But I didn't get taken that much. It did turn out to be a nice piece of art. So I've kind of looked at it like a $500 painting. Okay. And since I love guitars so much, I think I may have got my money's worth from that standpoint. So if that old boy down in Louisiana ever decides to stumble across this video, he knows exactly who he is. But I let that one go. You know, I should have known. But nonetheless, Royall, Santa Barbara, California, I believe is where they're located. Griffin, you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about this, because I'm going to send you a link to this video. But this is what they came up with. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you something about this. Take a peek at that, the detail on this guitar. That is solid maple. And look at those Waverly tuners. They didn't really skimp on this guitar. Not that I can tell. It is very, very, very nice. It's got an ebony fretboard. I'm sorry, not ebony. Apologize, Griffin. It's a rosewood fretboard. I don't want to misrepresent anything here. It's got the F holes in it, you know, which I happen to like a lot. It's got this cone, and I'll put the specs in the description box. Just hit the show more there in the description and you'll see it. Now, I'm going to show you something here because this really captured my attention. Look at the grain in that wood. Look at that. Is that not beautiful? This little thing is a looker, okay? And it's got, and by the way, they got electronics in it. I've had this thing plugged into an amplifier, and I was impressed with the way it sounded. Now, is there anything I don't like about this guitar? Yes, there is. Sorry, Griffin, but I already told you about this. And as a matter of fact, the thing I like about that guy is he goes, you know, I appreciate that feedback. He said, we may make that adjustment and put this pickup, which is right here, which may be, yeah, you can see that. They may move it up, maybe right about here. Because you'll notice I've got the biscuit off. Now I'm putting photographs up right over here as we go along. But that biscuit, when you have that biscuit on there, even without the biscuit, first of all, I pull the biscuit because I like to mute those strings, okay? But, and I did it on the other resonator I had before. I took the biscuit off, which, you know, I guess some people like them on. If all you're going to do is slide on there, then the biscuit's perfect. But I don't just do, matter of fact, I don't really do slide at all. You heard the intro, okay? Now, but that's one design change that I would surely make is I would have moved this pickup. Because when I got it, the pickup was raised up to maybe an 1/8 inch under the strings right here. And so when I went to do fingerstyle, I kept bumping that bumping that pickup, and so it was kind of in the way. So I saw the two screws, and I figured they were to raise and lower it, probably for that. That's one of the reasons why they probably had that, and the other. And you know, you want to, you know, people adjust their pickups where they're located. I don't plug in a lot. I admit I've plugged this one in a lot more than I've plugged anything else I've ever plugged in from an acoustic standpoint. But And by the way, lowering this thing down about what looks to me to be about maybe a little over a ½ inch below the strings, it made fingerstyle comfortable. The pickup didn't bother me anymore, and I went ahead and plugged the thing in. You've got your jack right here. You got a tone knob and a volume control on this one, and I didn't have any issues with sound. Now I've got a tube amp PV over here, and I can't remember what it is. It's a Valve King 112 maybe, I think. And you know, they're not the most popular amplifiers on the planet, but I had Robin Hood Studios, Robin Hood, I guess they still call it Robin Hood Studios, had them go through that thing out of Tyler. So I've got there's a music store in Hawkins, Texas, down the road from me, Action Sound. Kelly Barber owns it. He's a wonderful guy. And Mikey runs kind of the front of the store, and Mikey's a wonderful guy too. And I doubt I'll ever tell them about this video. So, but if you ever happen to be in Hawkins, Texas, go see those guys. They're truly good old boys, and they know music, and they know a lot of people. Kelly does a lot of work. That's how I met Doyle Dykes, was through Kelly. Kelly knows him very well. They're close, and so Kelly got Doyle to come down and go to Big Spring, Texas. Not Big Springs, Big Sandy, Texas, down just east of Hawkins. And Doyle was in town. He's in town quite a bit because I ran into him at Kelly's store about maybe a month later, and we talked for a minute. But this is very nice people, all of them, just super, super nice people. But anyway, I was talking about the amplifier. So Kelly had sent it to the guy there in Tyler with Robin Hood, and he went through it and replaced a bunch of stuff on it, tubes, and I don't know, made it better than it was when I got it. You know, I'm not the best trader in the world when it comes to instruments, and I think I picked that one up on a trade, and probably should have never picked that one up. But anyway, this is it's very, very well built, very well constructed. It's got a little bit of weight to it because of the cone, right? But I could not do this with my other resonator with one hand. Couldn't do it. That thing was a tank. I thought I was in World War II or something. This resonator is quite comfortable. And my slide skills, I don't have any slide skills, okay? But I'll try to do this where you can actually see me doing it, and I'm not going to sound good because, frankly, I don't know anything about slide guitar. I bought this, and I got another little one here, a little tiny one here that kind of goes on where you could just do 1 or 2 strings with it. I thought that was kind of cool, and that's what I used. I did that Amazing Grace short. This is the one that I used. It's brass, and I use it on a Stella guitar, an old Stella that I've got. The action's, I wouldn't say high, but it's higher than I would normally have on a guitar, and I do some open tuning slide on that. And this one's tuned to D right now. The whole setup is, and so the first thing I did when I got it was tuned it to D. been a day or two since I picked that tune out, but it just seemed like the thing to do, okay? So I wanted to give you 2 or 3 examples of what the guitar kind of sounds like. You know, I just think it sounds fantastic for its size. It's small. This thing is not intended to stop a show somewhere, unless you're talking about the beauty of the thing, because they absolutely put the detail into this guitar. But I'm gonna, you know, it's got a case. I'm gonna put the photos up of that right up here, and I want you to see that case because it looks like a soft shell case, but it's really not. If you've ever seen the seagull cases, it reminds me a little bit of that, except, well, no, it actually reminds me a lot of that. So it's very snug in the case, but there's a softness on the inside that's molded to this guitar that I just have to kind of push it down to get it in there. But it's snug, you know. Now, I like to be snug when I go to bed, so I think my guitars do too. But it's a beautiful little guitar, and it's got a fantastic sound for its size, and it does sound rather bluesy. And I really like that. I think it sounds great for what it is. And it's certainly worth around 6.5. By 6.5, I don't mean 6.5 grand. I mean $650. Tax, title, and license out the door is what I gave for this guitar. And I didn't ask him for a deal. I just said, you know, before you send it to me, keep in mind I'm going to review this on YouTube. Now, here's how I want it. But after visiting some with Griffin over there, he would have done it anyway. The level of detail they put into this is pretty impressive. Now, the parts come from lots of different places, I think. And they get them all in there in Santa Barbara, I guess is where this is at. And they put them together there, or it may be someplace close to Santa Barbara. I don't know, Griffin, whatever. You can correct me on that, or you folks can go see the website. But they do all the putting together of everything and making sure everything is right. So I think they get the woods, they get the hardware, they get the cone, they get all that stuff, and then they build it together from that point because they've already engineered and spec'd it, right? But it's a nice little guitar, and it's worth the money. And this figured maple, I'm not sure what you call that. I forgot what you call it. But I don't know if you can see that under the lighting. I try to get, yeah, right there. Look at that. Flamed maple, maybe is what they call that. I got the glossy one. They have another matte, I think, but it's beautiful. It's very small, very small. As a matter of fact, it's about the size, I think, of that Martin 00015 I've got. There's something close to that. The 15 may actually be a little bit bigger. And I thought it was a little guitar. Play it, you're not playing a toy. And it's beautiful. I've just been noodling around on it ever since I got it. That opening tune was, of course, that slide, you know, when they do the... I've heard a few people do that. So, you know, that's all over the place with the slide guitar. I probably heard that somewhere before. Don't worry, Cooter, you're safe. No, I've enjoyed it. I've not played this much or tried to play this much slide guitar in the last 3 years. The only time really I've done any slide work whatsoever was with that little brass one I showed you early on, that I've got that little brass ring thing that works and sounds really good on that Stella. I can control it better on the Stella than I can on this, but I haven't played much with it on this, so I may fool around with that. I'm not much on sitting with and just doing that. That's why I like this, because I can actually come up here and make chords with this thing on my finger, and then in between the music I can kind of do it. I don't have to do a whole entire thing. If I got a slide in my hands, I don't have to do the whole thing and slide, you know. That'll frees me up to do some other things, you know. But it's a sweet little guitar, and it is stunningly beautiful. Once again, everything about it. Look at the neck. It's a mahogany neck. They did tell me that. I asked Griffin about the neck because I don't think I saw it in the specs, or if I did, I didn't realize it. But the neck is mahogany. I expected to see a scarf joint here. I don't see that. You know, when you start getting into anything that's got quality to it under $1,000, you start looking for, okay, what do we do here? I don't see it. I apologize. If it's there, Griffin, you can tell us where you cut corners, because I do not see it. And I don't expect Griffin to tell us he cut corners. But it is very, very, very nice. And you can see in the picture that I put up that the biscuit bridge looks beautiful on here. So I don't know how you handle your resonators, but I always pull the biscuit bridge off, because once again, I know it kills the aesthetics of the guitar, but I don't really care as much about that as I do playability and usefulness. But I think this is an enjoyable, fun guitar to play. The larger resonators are going to have a lot more full sound, and they're going to be a lot louder. But they're also going to be a heck of a lot heavier. And if you plug this one in to an amplifier, you got everything you ever wanted in that particular situation. Okay. So honestly, if you're going to plug this thing in, I would rather play it than a larger resonator. And I thought a Parlorator was a fantastic marketing idea. Parlorator, you know. Makes sense, doesn't it? Because this thing is pretty small, as you can well see. But is that not beautiful? Anyway, folks, I appreciate you watching. I hope you found this little guitar interesting. I know I did. And I think these boys over at in California deserve an opportunity to serve you. I like it. I think it's cool. Now, you know, it is small. To me, that's a plus. Like I said, since I pulled it out of the case, I've had it out every single day. Of course, I've had a few other guitars out too, but I have worked, you would never know it, but I was working a little bit on my slide, and then I was working a little bit on that tune. I think it's a nice little guitar. And that's my take on this, folks. Solid maple, mahogany neck, Waverly tuners, Rosewood fretboard, electronics. I don't know what you call that cone. I forgot, but I'll have it in specs, and you can see it. I'll put it in the description. It's cool. That's all I got to say. It's got a cool factor going on. I can tell you that. if that's the right word to use, and I think it is. It's cool. It's good to see you, everybody. Take care of your friends. Take care of your family. God bless. We'll see you next time.